Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. And today we are joined in the T-95, the infamous Doom Turtle Tier 9 tank destroyer. We're joined by Dark Angel 666NL, who I suspect by the NL at the end of his name may be from the Netherlands, which is a bit of a coincidence because this time next week I'll be in the Netherlands retracing the route taken by 30 Corps during Operation Market Garden from the Dutch border all the way to the Rhine River Bridge at a little place you might have heard of called Arnhem. And yes, I will be recording video footage, and hopefully there's going to be a usable video coming out of it all, which will be appearing at some point after my return. Of course, that does also mean that between now and then I'm going to be pulling double shifts, churning out videos and pre-uploading them to cover my absence when I'm away next week. But hey, if you can't take a joke, you shouldn't be earning a living on YouTube. Anyway, back to the battle. It's not obvious just from looking at it. I thought that was a Tog giving him a push for a second. That would have been comical. No, it's a Charioteer. Not a Charioteer at all, it's a Challenger. What am I talking about? Anyway, it wouldn't be the first time I got something wrong. Deal with it. It's not obvious from just looking, is what I was trying to say. But that's not a fully upgraded Doom Turtle. Dark Angel only has the 120mm gun, not the 155mm gun, the one with 750 alpha damage. The thing is, though, the enemy team don't know that. At least they won't know it until he starts shooting at them. But that 120mm gun is actually not bad. It has 248mm of penetration, which is good. It's got 400 alpha damage, which is perfectly respectable. It's got a faster aiming time than the 155mm gun, and it fires more than twice as quickly, resulting in an overall higher DPM. What the hell is that T-43 doing? I think he really wants to make it to the other side of that bridge and for some reason get closer to that 45 TP, and he has made it, but I'm not entirely sure it was worth half of his health and a premium 20,000 credit fire extinguisher. But then again, I think attempting to stop him from getting over the bridge didn't work out too well for the 45 TP down there either. Nevertheless, even if you consider that to be an extremely questionable use of a tank's health bar, he is at least doing better than 3 of his teammates, 2 of whom are Tier 9s, a Leopard prototype, and an EBR-90, who are already dead. And Dark Angel has been paying attention, with little immediate danger of enemy tanks pushing over the bridge than he was just firing shots down. But with a very strong enemy presence both in the centre and the southwestern end of the map, he decides that it might be a good idea to turn this thing around and try to back up his teammates who are taking one hell of a beating down there, if they haven't already been destroyed. Because if they kill that 14-5 down there, there's nothing but a pair of Tier 7s to stop them from rolling right into the base. And the UDES 14-5 is a good tank, but it's not really designed to stand its ground and fight against half a dozen enemy tanks. The T-95, however, very definitely is. There's also a bit of support fire coming from the ridgeline overlooking the base, just off-screen to the right, in the shape of a Rheinmetall Borsig, who is putting some reasonably effective fire into those enemy tanks down the end of the valley. Unfortunately, it's these tanks crossing over the middle that are going to be the big threat for the Rheinmetall Borsig, because they can, and are, shooting at him without having to crest the ridge and expose themselves to Dark Angel's big old gun. Not quite as big a gun as they think he has. You can see how they really aren't interested in popping over that ridge with the Doom Turtle in front of them. See the Type 61 there hiding behind that rock. He does not want to take a hit, but the Lynx, however, thinks he's got a chance. Unfortunately, he's kind of wrong, and this is where the Type 61 makes his move. He thinks he has 12 to 15 seconds before Dark Angel reloads. He thought wrong. Unluckily for Dark Angel, he just wasn't able to swing the tank around fast enough to be able to hit the Type 61, but the Type 61 has now received notice that this is not the 155mm gun that he was afraid of. But the Type 61 is still playing it safe. He's immobilised Dark Angel, and he's going to continue to try to keep him immobilised and pinned on the other side of this rock while the rest of his teammates come to his aid from the direction of that valley down there to the southwest. And the threat of those enemy tanks to his right was, up until now at least, the only thing that had prevented that IS-2 from circling around to the other side of the rock like this and forcing that Type 61 to make a run for it. But where were the Type 61's teammates? The only thing visible down there was a T-43, but there were at least another 2 tanks down there. What is taking them so long? They'd killed everything else down there at least a minute ago. What are they afraid of? Well, it's possible, I don't know, but it's possible they're afraid of a T-95 parked behind a rock up here with a dirty great big 750 alpha damage 155mm gun. Of course, we know he doesn't have that gun, but they don't. Meanwhile, Dark Angel still paying attention to the map, and I cannot stress how important this is in the T-95. I mean, it's important in every tank, but it's even more important in a machine as slow as this, because if you wait until something actually appears on the map, it's almost always too late for you to react and do something about it. You need to be looking at the map, looking at what you have left on the team, looking at what the enemy tanks have left on the team, predicting where they're going to appear next, and being there, or at least being on the way there, before it happens, because otherwise you're going to be too late. And right now the smart money is betting that all of those enemy tanks that are now unspotted but were seen around their base down to the southeast are more than likely, since there's absolutely nothing standing in their way, sneaking up around this back road into the base from the east. And that of course is exactly why he's pinging the map. Nothing spotted just yet, and to his team's credit they are actually relocating, because when there are only 4 of you left and 2 of your artillery, you have to stick together. The IS-2 popping himself into a little ambush position there where he can cover the road into the base from the south, although the 2 artillery, oh dear. It's the Type 61. That poor guy just drove all the way around the map in order to get away from the T-95. Thought he was being sneaky. Not so much. The Crusader SP finally getting off that ridge and hopefully moving to somewhere where he'll actually be able to shoot at anything that gets spotted. Dark Angel moving up just to see if anybody was following the Type 61. If they were, they're taking their sweet time about it. Best case scenario, looking at what's left on the enemy team, we've got 2 very slow heavies, a fast medium and a reasonably mobile tank destroyer, as well as the 2 artillery. If they're all on their way here at their own best speed, they're all going to basically arrive one at a time, and that would be great. On the other hand, if the Type 61 was the only one that rushed off on his own, and the rest of them are sticking together, this could be a problem. There's the T-43, spotted by the IS-2, shot at by the artillery, and there's the ONI. The T-43 did not go rushing off ahead. Enemy artillery trying to hit the IS-2. He's just digging himself into the corner there, trying to make himself as small a target as possible and stay alive, and continue to spot for as long as possible, but enemy artillery is making his life extremely difficult. The question, of course, is where is the Waffenträger and where is the KV-3? And with the IS-2 backing off even further around the corner, nobody has any sight of what's coming, which means T-95, the Doom Turtle, has to activate Scout Tank mode. Oh, there's the ONI, hit by artillery again, but artillery has now been spotted, which means we're about to lose the Batchat 15555. And there's the Waffenträger. You know, the enemy team have actually done this pretty well. They've coordinated their attack to arrive at the base from both sides at the same time. The Type 61 was the only one who rushed off. So this is not going to be easy. Right now, the only thing we don't know is where is the KV-3. Of course, the only thing the enemy team didn't know was where was the T-95. The Waffenträger found out the hard way. There's the KV-3. But now Dark Angel is the only tank left alive on his team against 6 enemies. So, knowing where the T-95 is, and now they all do, is the only thing that the enemy team needed to know. Okay, the T-43 is only really going to be a problem if he can get around behind the Doom Turtle. The ONI, depending on the gun that he has, could be an issue. The KV-3, again, not really a threat, which of course is why Dark Angel is focusing his fire on the Waffenträger, because he has a seriously dangerous gun, Of course, the 700 damage that he just blocked from the Oni right before killing the Waffenträger means that the Oni has the 150mm gun and he is firing gold, but he managed to fire gold into the side of the T95, which is basically 100% spaced armour. T43 trying to work his way around behind him. T43 firing high explosive. Okay, that's going to add up over time, I suppose, but he's just nickel and diming away. It's more important to take out the Oni before he actually manages to penetrate with any of that 150mm gold. KV3, not really a problem. Definitely not a problem from the front. Damage from the T43 to the rear is starting to stack up, however, so he's probably going to want to kill this KV3 fast and then turn around and deal with that medium tank. And at least at first, the KV3 is making it easy for him by backing up in front of his gun, but his tracks have now been blown off. The KV3 finally realises he's not going to hurt a T95 from the front. His engine has now been damaged, and he's really struggling to turn the gun around and finish this KV3 off, and that's when the T43 suffers from what I can only describe as a sudden rush of shit to the brain and actually manages to slide off the rocks. Don't forget, his tracks are damaged, his engine was damaged, the T43 was in the perfect position. All he had to do was not drive in front of his gun. One job. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And now there's just the two artillery left. Now, under normal circumstances, only having to find and kill two enemy artillery would not actually be a bad thing. Under normal circumstances. But Dark Angel's in a Doom Turtle. Okay, his repair kit's off cooldown. He's managed to repair his engine tracks and fuel tanks, and now he can approach the dizzying speeds of 20 kilometers per hour. But there's less than 3 minutes of the game left. And he has to find and kill two artillery to stand a chance of winning this match. He's never going to win by capping. He'd barely make it halfway to the enemy base before the match timer expired, because he has a top speed of 20 kilometers per hour. So the only way he's going to win this, well, there are actually two ways he could win this. It's not out of the question that, being the last two vehicles remaining on the enemy team, those two artillery players might suddenly decide to suicide. I mean, it's not exactly unheard of for artillery players to throw themselves off the nearest cliff with a cry of "goodbye cruel world" when they realise they're the only things left alive on the team. That might happen. It's probably more likely that Dark Angel is going to have to find and kill them. And given that his top speed is 20 kilometers per hour and he's got the entire map to cross, that's probably only going to happen if they come looking for him. Which is why he's not going too far from the base. Nothing spotted coming up the back road. The base is not yet being capped, so if they come around the other side, they're not there yet. Of course, there's no guarantee that they're coming at all. It's entirely possible that they're still cowering in a bush at K0 down in the far southeastern end of the map, just waiting for the game to win itself. This is also something that's not entirely out of the question where artillery players are concerned. But Dark Angel's in a Doom Turtle. He doesn't really have any choice, with just over 2 minutes to go, than to hope that they are in fact coming to try to finish him off. And they might be. I mean, they know exactly how much health he has left. They've spent the best part of the last 5 minutes shooting at him. And it's not out of the question. I mean, with 500 health remaining, even if they both have to shoot at him from the front, if they both hit him, they could kill him. Well, we know where at least one of them is. Somebody is capping. Unfortunately, while they don't know where Dark Angel is, they know exactly where he isn't. He's not behind them, because they've just come from that direction. So they're going to have their gun pointing in this direction. But there is just the one in the cap circle, and it's the GW Panther, so maybe he can deal with them one at a time. And, oh bollocks, no, the M53's right behind him. The GW Panther did shave off well over half of his health. If the M53 hits him, and he fluffs the shot. And this is the point where Dark Angel suddenly became incredibly grateful that he did not yet have the 155mm gun on the Doom Turtle. He's loaded the high explosive, it's just artillery, easy kill, right? Yeah, except it never is it? because the rules in World of Tanks clearly state that every time you load high explosive to shoot at artillery, the shell automatically homes in on the most heavily armoured part of the tank, and if that had been the 155mm gun, there is no way he would have reloaded in time to avoid getting one-shotted by the M53. But it was the 120mm gun. And so he not only lived to tell the tale, but he went home with an ace tanker, Radley Walters medal, Kolobanov's medal, Bilot's medal, Pascucci's medal, Defender, High Caliber, Steel Wall, and of course, Top Gun. Not bad at all for 14 minutes work in the Doom Turtle on the Mountain Pass map. Very well done, Dark Angel. Everybody else, I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.